Welcome back. This is News at 10. Time now to shop around the world, and let's go to Nigeria and do some international news. Now, more than 70 people have been killed in Abuja. A bomb blast that rocked a crowded bus station on the outskirts of Nigeria's capital is reported to have killed about 70 people. A blast happened as commuters were about to board buses and taxis to go to work in central Abuja. Eyewitnesses say there are dead bodies scattered around the area, and this may have been another attack by the Islamist group Boko Haram. Already been named as perhaps having been behind the bomb blast. And President Goodluck Jonathan has said that he suspects that Boko Haram actually took that action, and 71 people killed there. Ibad Ibrahim is an international news and security analyst. He's joined me on the phone. And Ibrahim, this is not shocking to you, I guess, because Boko Haram is always around Nigeria.
Yes, certainly it's not surprising, right? But I think today's attack has built political and military ramifications for the federal government of Nigeria.
Right.
But first, our poignant condolences to those who lost loved ones today. Such wanton disregard for human life is quite discomforting. But unfortunately, Bright, I don't expect any significant let-up in violence anytime soon. We are only 10 months away from that country's elections. It is anticipated that there will be an exponential escalation in such muzzle-flexing attacks. But Boko Haram will not be able to derail the elections. At worst, turnout on election day may plummet. And of course, Goodluck Jonathan's seeming helplessness in the face of such attacks will degrade or chip away at his credibility in the lead up to the elections. So I think that's the political implication of today's brazen attack. But militarily, Bright, it discredits the Nigerian army's claim that it has, over the past few years, rooted out Boko Haram combatants from urban centers and has pinned them down in the jungle of Sambisa, close to the Cameroonian border. Therefore, I think there can be two hypothetical explanations to today's attack. And in either case, the Nigerian army does not look good. First, if the bomb was assembled in the far northeast and transported by road over hundreds of miles without detection, then that underscores the porosity of the military checkpoints in the country. And then secondly, if Boko Haram experts are now, bomb experts are now free to move about in Abuja, then I think Nigeria should brace itself for further bomb attacks on pricey targets like of political significance in the country.
Ebad, you're simply saying that the Nigerian government is not doing too well in the fight against Boko Haram.
Yes, because, Bryce, if you can't provide something as basic as security to their own capital, your own capital, Abuja, then I don't know how else to explain their inefficiency. And that is largely because there isn't any cohesion amongst the leadership of the country in seeking a way forward and forging a formidable front in tackling the Boko Haram menace.
Right.
71 lives.
I'm not cutting in, but you think that they are not being efficient. But the Nigerian government is reported to have said that it is in charge of the situation, on top of it. That's what the government said.
Yes, but unfortunately, if militants are able to slip into the capital and carry out carnage of such epic proportions, then I don't think there is any iota of truth in such an assertion. Bright, the permutations on the ground indicate that politics is at play. And therefore, there are certain leaders within the country that do not want to give Goodluck Jonathan the needed cooperation to tackle this menace. And only today, the PDP publicity secretary, Mr. Chief Olisa Meto, issued a statement blaming the opposition APC for carrying out such an attack. So these attacks are taking place with tacit approval and in some cases complicity of the opposition northern politicians. But Bright, most importantly for me, what can the sub-region do to stop the contagion of such a phenomenon so that it doesn't put the rest of the sub-region on the precipice of a cross-border insurgency?
Right.
I think we should adopt what I call the 3D approach. First, every government should be able to spend more on defense. The phenomenon is global in its outlook, and some governments, even across the world, even have budgetary allocations for counterterrorism. So that is the first step to take. And then secondly, we should also be ready to leave open the window of opportunity for dialogue in all circumstances. Not even America has won using only brute force. And therefore, Goodluck Jonathan and his military advisors should seek other ways. It is always better to judge than war.
And the
only option they have on their table
Ibrahim,
is to be able to defeat Boko Haram militarily, and that's quite unfortunate.
Sorry, Ibrahim, we have on several occasions talked about the fact that the Nigerian government should go sit down with these terrorists and talk to them. But is that an option that you think can work, looking at the situation?
Bryce, I think a lot of water has already gone down the bridge. Boko Haram is not ready to sit with them. This sliver of advice I'm giving is a means of avoiding such a phenomenon in other West African countries. But where Boko Haram has gotten, it's very difficult to sit around the negotiation table with them currently. And therefore, I think there's no option except the military option on the table of Goodluck Jonathan. But if militarily he's not winning, then it means that we should be able to curtail the phenomenon so that we help Nigeria come out of this crisis even stronger and insulate other countries from suffering from the scourge of terrorism and the federal government of Nigeria is suffering from currently. But Bright, the one who sits close to the affair, knows best how it is ignited. If there isn't cohesion and cooperation amongst the very leadership, then I don't think the war against Boko Haram can be won easily militarily. Every 3 months, it is on record that Goodluck Jonathan fires the top brass of the military. And if you keep changing a winning team, and this team unfortunately is even not a winning one, then unfortunately people cannot acclimatize to the modus operandi of Boko Haram and then map out a military strategy to fight them. So I think in Nigeria it's a lost war. And I think in 2015 perhaps Goodluck Jonathan and the PDP would have to step aside so that another government will come into the picture so that we see the way forward. But I wanted to make a point that we should also, as much as possible, this is Nigeria, and there could be domino effects in other countries. But the best way to fight an insurgency is by denying it the conducive environment it so desperately needs to thrive. Create jobs for the unemployed. Don't let the masses live in abject penury in the midst of plenty. And most importantly, treat terrorism as a universal problem rather than considering it as the preserve of the adherents of a certain religion. And therefore, I think many mistakes were made quite early in the crisis. And we've gotten to a point that there is no way Nigeria alone can solve this problem. So they should admit that they need help. Cameroon and Chad should do their best to tighten the noose around their borders. Boko Haram elements are now using Cameroon and Chad as launch pads to carry out attacks within the Nigerian jurisdiction. So I think there should be a multi-pronged approach to it. Nigeria should not be living in the fantasy world that because it is the strongest military in the West African sub-region and it leads charges against dictators in other parts of the world and it is helping with peacekeeping missions. If it has problems in its own backyard, it should be left to solve it. They should seek help. Right. I think there is a dearth of acumen in dealing with an insurgency within the Nigerian military. And therefore, not until we are able to tackle that, this is the third time that people are hitting Abuja. It's not easy to pull off an attack at the center of the politics of the country. Right. But Abuja has been hit over and over again. That tells you that these insurgents have adapted. And therefore, the time has come for the Nigerian military to also adapt and seek external assistance. In Mali, there is a similar insurgency. But Ansar-ud-Din has not been able to pull off any attack for the past 2 years. How have the French people deployed there been able to do that? So it means that there's a particular way of dealing with such a crisis. And not until we are ready to admit that there is that problem or we need assistance from people with superior military power and superior intelligence gathering capabilities. Unfortunately, the crisis will inch ever closer and we would expect that there should be a hike in the spate of such attacks in the months leading up to the elections in 2015.
Right, Irbad, thanks so much. We'll have to leave it here. An international news and security analyst, Irbad Ibrahim, there, talking to us on the Nigerian situation. And of course, we'll be getting you more of that. But time to take a break. And as I told you earlier, when we return, Ken will be speaking to the Christian Council of Ghana on what they're asking government to do. Stay with us. This at 10 is returning shortly.